I'm climbing that tower. Doggy! Doggy, 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 doggy. There we go. The robot dog is self-care. Ah. There it is. It's so fucking hard to get it even when the dog points at it. The first 2 seconds of this fucking session of today, so that was just weirdly intense. I'm like, where is it? Do you suppose we're near the top yet? Yes, but it seems we have another puzzle in the way before we get there. 70 piglets. Your task is to draw lines between the pins on this board to form 7 squares. The 7 squares do not have to be uniform in size, but you can only use each pin once. Alrighty then, give it a shot. What? Okay. Draw lines between the pins on this board to form 7 squares. The 7 squares do not have to be uniform inside, but you can only use each pin once. What do the colors mean? Can I use each color more than once? Yes. Okay. Why are there colors? Weird. I don't know why there's different colors. But anyway, judging by every one of these we've done so far, you probably make them diagonally. They're pretty consistent about that. Wait, you can only use each pin once. Okay, that's weird. Still think the answer's probably diagonal, but I guess you draw really long lines because you can't use the same pin more than once, which means that the intersections have to create 7 squares. One, two, three. This is a weird line, or yeah, it's a weird... Oh, weird diagonal. Yeah, I figured I'd go for like the most distant spots. Reset. Do... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I guess you can use a pin that's crossed over, right? You only use each pin once. There's no, like, they must mean these, right? The green things can, there can only be one connection per point. Although I guess this, oh, to be safe, this one does let you go all the way down here. But like, is this against the rules? Is that against the rules? Because I'm pinning it to this one and this one. Like, there's little dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. I'm just gonna go for it just so we can learn. I don't care about the points that much in this game, to be honest. And sometimes it's just like figuring out, like, do I understand what the rules to this puzzle are? Okay. I was sure. Cool, thanks. Try again. All right. No rules clarifications. That's annoying. It's annoying that they didn't even give me a little bit of a hint about what they mean. Only use each pin once. Does they mean you can only use each one of these once? Are these the pins you can only use that you can only use once? No, there's no way. It says draw a line between the pins. So these are the pins. There's no way that it... Yeah, that can't be the 4 colors, because you only make one square with 4 lines. After that, you can start cutting them in half to make lines even faster. The colors have to just be here to help you, like, clarify your, I don't know, it just must be helpful in some way to be able to, like, show lines of different colors, maybe? I'm not entirely sure how helpful it is, honestly. I can only guess that, like... Let's say that you can't... You do this. Is that what they mean? I can only assume that's what they mean because I did make 7 squares, so it must be against the rules to overlap the same one twice. That makes things complicated though, because that means you can't cause intersections to do squares. You do stuff like that? But like good? Is that why they gave me different colors? That could be why they gave me different colors. But these are bad. How would this shape be? There'd have to be one there. Like, there's a square, and it doesn't touch any other pins. I can try this? That doesn't repeat the pins. Two. 7 though? I think this, if I'm on the right path, I feel like this is gonna be another puzzle where you blow right past the moment where you're like, ah, my epiphany, and then you're like, okay, time to do the grueling part where you have to figure out how to make 7 fit. So it gets to be like that one dice we had to draw, where I'm like, alright, well, I mean, I think I might have gotten the gist of it, but getting the gist of it won't let me pass this. That's the same corner. Ah, so it does give you a big... Ah! Damn it, it's hard to undo your ones. It does give you a big X when you reuse the same one. Could any of these have been smaller? Maybe not, because there's a bunch of missing tiles around. Ah! Let's see. Make a little one. And make a bigliest one? No! Wait, yes, that one. I'm losing green now. Whatever. I'm just gonna keep making and deleting squares until eventually they don't ruin everything. As black square is probably bad. It's probably a bad black square. Let's go up here. That doesn't connect there. I think the black square is bad because it covers a bunch of pins. I think it's just bad to make a right angle square. Unless it's just really small. Otherwise it ends up overlapping a bunch of other squares. And then you get in big trubs. That probably counts as reusing that square. I just remade the same square again that I just said not to make. Ba-doop ba-doop. Try Oh, I deleted this piece. Here? That's at the right off angle that matches this one. No. Ah! I never delete the one I mean to. There's no way. There's no way! Oh. That's so close to being an absolutely massive square. How did that delete that one? That wasn't even where I was clicking. This is such a crazy square that it might be a better idea than the one I had here. God damn it, just delete the one I want. Alright. I have to do like a autopsy on the board afterwards to find what got deleted because it's just chaos. Like some of it's not even close to where I was clicking. Okay, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there, I see this one. There's a, hey! Yeah. Okay, that's the entire board filled, so that's probably it if there's no conflicts, because... Oh man, did they perfectly give it? Yeah, I guess there must be 7 times 4 pins. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, big red 6, 7. That's a square with 4 sides. I'm checking that to make sure they're both square-shaped and complete and haven't, like, lost a piece somehow. I think that we're there. I believe in me. Alright. That's right! Tracking down all those tilted squares was pretty fun, wasn't it? Now we're free to keep climbing. You know, it's very odd how this tower is simply huge, and yet there's almost nothing inside of it. Yes, quite. Other than Bruno's room in the basement, the whole place is rather bare. Perhaps that is why Bruno's machines make such a racket. This tower is like a giant megaphone. But why would anyone want to construct such a big, purposeless tower, Professor? It's exhausting to climb this thing. Ha! Did you ever consider that this tower might have been built for the express purpose of exhausting us? This is just another one of the many trials that have been set out for the seekers of the Golden Apple. Gosh, that makes perfect sense! Maybe that's also why the tower looks so scary on the outside. Don't say... Okay, I'm like, please don't say that you solved a mystery by saying that. That was some very weak connections you were making. It's just not much of a mystery to be like, hey, this thing is spooky because they want you to not go in it. Would be like a really disappointing thing to be like, you solved a mystery! This floor doesn't appear to have any puzzles set up for us. So if we climb this spiral staircase, maybe we'll reach the top floor. I think you may be right, my boy. Come, let's hurry. Is trying to climb it somehow not going to work? Is this an alternate picture of the same room? Did they have to draw it separately, or is it just zoomed out or something? I would just feel bad for the artist having to draw the same place twice. Oh my gosh! There's a house up here. The childhood they were trying to save, or trying to fight immortality, or trying to fight mortality, not trying to fight immortality, unless our view was obscured from the ground. But who would have suspected such a charming cottage like this here? Look! The lights are on, Professor! It would appear that someone is living here. Boom! Sure. Oh my god. You've reached the top of the tower. 1. Continue the house. Return to the village to explore more. Huh? I feel like I talked to a lot of people. What kind of person would live in a place like this? Unbelievable. Just look at this room. The stuff in here has to be worth gazillions, a real number. This must be the top floor that Bruno spoke of. So we might be standing in the same room as the golden apple at this very moment. I've been waiting for you two. Whoever I am.
It's you!
Yeah.
What's this? What's going on here?
My boy, what you see here is the golden apple herself.
Wait, a girl is the prize? That's concerning. What does that mean? You're the golden apple? Professor, you knew about this? I had an inkling. Don't you see how genius it is, though? The Baron didn't write the will to find a successor to his fortune. His true aim was to find a worthy guardian for his daughter. And he was willing to put his whole fortune on the line to do so. Yes, but she looks like she has white hair now. How long has she been here? My name is Flora. I've been waiting in this tower for so long. Were you locked up here the whole time? Oh no. But before Papa passed, he told me I should wait here until someone from outside St Mystere came for me. Papa said that whoever came for me would be someone I could trust with my life. So that's why he kept watching us move around town. What was that?
What's going on? Oh! Here I come!
Ready or not!
Follow me! Come now.
Quick, solve the puzzle of how to escape the burning wreckage. Follow me. We must evacuate this tower immediately. What now?
Luke, go ahead without us. I have an idea. We're fine. Go on.
Right!
It's all right, dear. This way.
She runs like that with her arms straight up. What are we going to do? I've got it. Just wait a moment, Flora. I need to solve a puzzle. Right? Is that what's happening? Nope.
Layton, I'll smash you right out of the sky! Layton! Just you wait! One day, I will have my revenge on you!
Hold tight!
What? Is it an apple-shaped birthmark or a bruise that just formed? They really did take Moriarty and turn him into Dr. Eggman.
Thank goodness you're all right, Professor. Don Paolo's flying contraption was something else. I really thought we were done for back there.
Yes, it was all quite dodgy, but he also provided us with the answer to one of our ongoing mysteries. Do you remember that awful noise we heard the first time we visited Reinhold Manor?
That one that spooked Claudia? Oh, so that must have been the noise.
You've put it together. The racket was likely Don Paolo's contraption making a crash landing. In that case, then we now know the approximate time of Don Paolo's entrance into St Mystere.
That makes perfect sense. It figures that Franco wouldn't have noticed Don Paolo's entrance.
So if Flora is the golden apple that everyone was looking for,
that means the treasure that Lady Dolly and the others were chasing never existed in the first place.
No. I'm fairly certain they weren't mistaken. I do believe a fortune is hidden somewhere within this town. But the Baron would need to hide it somewhere only the golden apple would know to look.
You mean that Flora knows where the treasure is hidden?
I'm sorry, but I don't know about a treasure or anything like that. Let's head back to Reinhold Manor one more time. I suspect we'll clear everything up. There. Back to the original mystery.
Professor, do you really think the treasure could be located here?
Look closely at this painting, Luke. I'm sure it holds the key to Reinhold's fortune.
But I've already looked at it.
If we solve this mystery, Luke, I'm certain we'll come face to face with the Reinhold treasure. Touch the painting where the golden apple is hidden. It's right there.
I remember now. It's right here.
Poke.
Aha! A hidden switch.
The switch seems to have activated the wall. I kept wondering about that. This whole game, it's looked like you could go that way, but you can't. And now you can.
And to think that Reinhold Manor held the secret behind this painting all along.
It looks like there's a passage that leads farther in.
Oh.
Let's see where this passage goes.
Oh my goodness, look at this place. I had no idea. Now how in the world did you know that switch was hidden in the painting?
Listen closely, Luke. Wisdom wasn't the only thing Baron Reinhold required of potential guardians of his only daughter. You saw it too, did you not? That peculiar mark on her neck that only appeared once she laughed? In other words, Baron Reinhold set out one last requirement for the potential inheritor of his fortune. He wanted someone who could make Flora smile again after losing those dear to her. To that person, and that person alone only, would Baron Reinhold reveal the location of his actual fortune. It's a few things. One, just like I don't think that Layton has proved that capable of making anyone smile on his own. It's just the incredibly specific scenario where her life was threatened and he saved her life, and then this happened. So she had to be damseled. So the villain had to exist basically to get this to happen. But I'm just really amused by the double twist. That's kind of like the opposite of the lesson you're usually trying to teach or whatever. It's like the real treasure was love. Just kidding. The real treasure was treasure.
That's unbelievable, Professor. But it all makes sense now. It's just the idea that the treasure all along, the golden apple, was actually always his daughter. Aww. No, it's gold. It's gold. It's gold. Flora. My little Flora. Where's that voice coming from? Flora, you've made it here at last. That voice. Papa, is that you? Papa. My dear Flora, has the village watched over you as I would have? I built St Mystere for you, so that you would never have to know true loneliness. Well, to be fair, Bruno did the actual building, but that's beside the point. I mean, he did do all the actual work, so... In any case, if you've come this far, I suppose it's safe to assume my plan was a success. It is I, Elon Musk, taking the credit for the people who actually do all the work. I'm very rich, which is the same thing as being a good person. My greatest regret is that I'm not there to see you become a young woman. So I guess she's not old? I thought the lighter streaks in her hair might have been her being older. Now I'm just wondering, like, how long was this place here? Just a little bit? Like, how... Wait. Sorry, I have to remember all the way back to the beginning of the game. We're here because the Baron just died, aren't we? She said she was here for a long time, and she had lighter hair. I was, like, prepped for this idea that she was, like, tragically waiting here decades in a prison created by her father that was supposed to take care of her, or, like, be good for her. But actually, she just, like, lost so many years. But aren't we here because the Baron died? So I guess it's been, like, a week. Okay. What a cartoonishly elaborate setup. I'm not even gonna question it. Like, the setting makes so little sense as a concept that could possibly exist that I'm just, like, losing my mind a little bit. And also the idea that, like, none of the puzzles were a test of character. So, like, being the person that, like, is a good person to be the new guardian of the daughter is, like, not related to anything the puzzles were testing. It's just that they're clever. But also, you're not, like, the puzzles also don't really indicate your character in the way, like, they don't test or ask whether or not you want a daughter to just adopt. So it's quite the moment where you get to, like, I like puzzles. I don't want a kid. My channel and all of the puzzle playthroughs I do are not an elaborate setup for me trying to raise a child. Like, those are not related outcomes. There's nothing inherently nurturing or so on about liking to solve puzzles, especially being able to put up with that sliding tile puzzles must mean that you're ready to be a mom. I don't know. Please know that I want nothing more than for you to be happy. Whether the person by your side right now can give you that or not is up to you, I suppose. Then what was the point of all the puzzles if you couldn't even prove that? And to you who have found your way to my daughter's side, you have my heartiest congratulations. Few could make it through the barrage of puzzles I set before you. I imagine a person of your abilities has already caught on, but allow me to reveal St Mystere's secret. The secret of St Mystere? Recently, I was told by my physician that I don't have much time left on this earth. I can come to terms with dying, but the thought of leaving my only child alone in the world torments me. That is why I've commissioned Bruno to construct St Mystere. At least this way,
she'll be safe and protected until she's old enough to venture to the outside world. Or, probably less work, Bruno could have adopted her, frankly. Instead of making like one of the wonders of the world just to be as a disposable puzzle for your rich daughter. Streets and buildings are the bones of a village, but its heart is the people who live in it. So our heart was a lie, because there weren't any people in it. That is why I asked Bruno to create all the villagers here, as well as all the puzzles hidden within them. I've asked Matthew to make news of my death public, only once Flora has grown past childhood. Oh. So it's been a while then? So, stranger, how does my beautiful little flower look now? I imagine she's blossoming into adulthood. I guess I just generally lost track of the plot because it's like, here's one cutscene every 40 minutes of puzzles. Like it's so spread out over the course of the game that I was like, I don't know, I'll just let the story happen at me, I guess. Equally important to me is finding someone whom I could entrust both my daughter and my fortune. This is why the inhabitants of St Mystere are constantly testing the knowledge of the visitor. If you've made it this far, it must mean that you possess both wisdom and dedication to my daughter. See, I'm unfathomably wealthy, but I wanted to make sure I gave all of my money to another great man so that one person could be unfathomably wealthy as well. You know, instead of like making the world better and distributing that wealth in some way that's useful. I'm just gonna give it all to you, not even my daughter, to you, to make another great man. I am confident that you will take good care of my fortune and Flora. Even though she's passing into adulthood, so frankly, you can fuck off now. This is why everything in this room, the whole of my fortune, belongs to you now. When you remove it from here, St Mystere will complete the objective for which it was created. I imagine the inhabitants will fall into a deep sleep from which they are never to awaken. Now wait just a minute, is he saying saying that if we take the treasure, all of St Mystere will just disappear? I honestly don't know the answer to that question, Luke. But it's possible that St Mystere is designed to shut down the instant we lay a hand on the treasure. So if that happens, everyone will just stop? Like they're just like puppets with their strings cut. I leave it to you, brave traveler. Draw the curtain on St Mystere and lay this lifeless village to rest. Above all else, take care of my precious daughter. She's in your hands now. Nope, daughter, back in the tower. Oh, Papa. I can't believe it. If we even touch this treasure, all of St Mystere will just grind to a halt. Flora, by right this inheritance belongs to you. You should be the one to decide what's done with it. I don't want it. But why ever not, my dear? The people who live here have been with me for so long. Curious as this village is, it's watched me grow up. I want St Mystere, my village, to stay just as it is. Forever. I see. Then so it shall be. But why? But what of you, Flora? Will you stay here with your village? Boom! Look at us go. So this could be seen as a commentary, actually, by the way that they all reject the wealth in order to keep the village alive. Essentially giving the money to the village as a direct reversal of what I was saying. They're going to specifically, like, that's actually really interesting. Like that is quite the outcome. You could just take it on face value as just being the fairy tale thing of like, oh, this mechanical town will cease to function. So if we're going to interpret this completely literally as just, if you take it off the pressure plate, then everyone dies. But you can also think of it as the idea of leaving the money in this community and not extracting it as a prize to be won so that one person can have all of it. Essentially undoing what the guy was that made this place. There's a cruelty to that. The fact that he was going to just disregard this place, a place that everyone has become convinced is full of essentially what are essentially real people. He was just going to disregard this place and have it destroyed the moment it stopped serving his purpose. So fuck that guy. Are you sure this is quite all right, madam? Certainly. If leaving will make Flora happy, I'd like nothing more than to see her off with a smile.
Goodbye then, little village.
What an astonishing village that was, Professor Layton. Does this mean you'll be gracing the front page of the London Times again sometime soon?
No, Luke. St Mystere's secret must stay between us.
Huh? Why do you say that?
You see, my dear boy, we don't want people to make a spectacle of Flora. That wouldn't be right.
Of course. Always thinking of others.
Well, one must always put a lady's needs first. That's what a gentleman does.
Gender! Her neck's gonna hurt so much when she wakes up. That's a goofy cow. Hey, we beat Professor Layton. The puzzles do get better than the one puzzle I played on the DS one eternity ago, which is the one that looks like that children's floor carpet thing. That's streets. The narrative's kind of interesting once you get to it. Setting up the whole mechanical thing of like, here's the 10 mysteries and here's their solutions. Half of them barely felt like mysteries, and it was like, okay, whatever. But it's like, it's fine. They have a big screen to show them to make it feel satisfying at the end when he's explaining a bunch of stuff. You're like, aha, that's that one. Aha, that's that one. And that's just like a whole dynamic. Like, I'm playing The Quarry, and that one has a lot of like, oh my god, you chose a path. Let's tell the player as loudly as possible, because it's just kind of like to communicate stuff's happening, essentially. Look at him, look at that scoundrel. I'm curious how the sequels work, in that this kind of feels like a standalone game where the premise of the game, as being this game that just keeps spamming you with puzzles, is directly built into the premise of this setting that we presumably don't come back to. So it makes me wonder if they additionally contrive a reason for there to be too many puzzles in the future games that don't match with the story moment to moment, because they're, or if they just do it because it's the series' identity and just don't really justify it the way they did the first time. Because this first time they like heavily justified it, like they insisted on being like wrapping it all up in the end and being like, they were all robots that love puzzles because they're testing you to see if you're a good enough person and so on. That's the whole thing. I assume in the sequel you meet the detective guy, but it's the real one and he actually does like those cakes or whatever, the sweet potato fritters. I have no idea what. I mean, I guess they taste like sweet potato, but I've never heard of sweet potato fritters. As far as the puzzles themselves, which are the meat of the game, it's extremely uneven because there's no unifying flow necessarily to like. It's not like The Witness, where here's the momentum of each individual level. Each level, like in The Witness, the world is divided into what's essentially little regions that are essentially levels. And so each one introduces a mechanic
and then ramps up that mechanic in a consistent, logical way, usually, and has like an arc to it. And then some of the later zones will combine some of those mechanics and test on you want a bunch of things at once, but also like they'll sprinkle in genuine epiphanies throughout. Myst is a very different situation where in the Myst games they create a setting where people supposedly actually lived in some way, admittedly weird, quirky people that do not solve their problems in reasonable, straightforward ways, but they create these really complicated settings, and you're interacting with devices. And so almost every puzzle in a Myst game is a new puzzle that you've never seen before. Are we arriving home?
So this is where you and Professor Layton live. Welcome to London. I love this. When I first arrived in London, everything was new and exciting. I'm having such a wonderful time, and it's all thanks to the Professor and Luke. Sometimes I feel like I might end up in danger when I'm with them. But anyway, I'm happy. If you're up there somewhere, Papa, thank you. And don't worry about me. I'm going to be just fine.
And they're at the train station. There is like a thematic little ending of like, it is interesting that the entire thing is like somebody trying to care for their family beyond the limits of their survival and so on. And that's like, it's a nice little note. They reach the story's end. Professor Layton and the Curious Village is far from over. How many puzzles did you solve over the course of the adventure? Precisely 120 puzzles are hidden throughout the village, so why not try to complete every puzzle? Also, be sure to check the bonuses section. Fulfill certain conditions to unlock more bonus content. Can't you save? You resume play at the top of the tower? 110 out of 112. Did I solve a single additional one? Nope, chapter 10 doesn't have a single puzzle in it. It is weird there was no final climactic puzzle. What was the last puzzle in the game? The squares? So they're in there somewhere. I'm just missing 8 puzzles. I don't know, I might say good enough. That's a pretty good completionism percentage, without necessarily scouring every inch of that. I know that 20% of the remaining puzzles are the ones that I didn't like. I think it's pretty good. I think I'll call it there. But what I was saying is that, like, the Witness has this, like, these levels that essentially build up almost like a Mario world, and then Myst has this thing where every puzzle is pretty much unique-ish, but the unifying thing is the fact that they're all grounded in this setting, so you approach them mostly from the idea of trying to understand how these people operated and how these devices worked in like a somewhat tactile, human-ish kind of perspective that's like kind of comprehensible. Professor Layton never really connected the puzzles to what was happening in the game, like, probably more than half the time. Like, I think it was relatively rare that they were like, oh, this thing's like the thing you saw. Like, here's a Ferris wheel next to the Ferris wheel. But even half of those were just like, they weren't even all created. They weren't even all from the villagers. So a lot of them were like, Professor Layton's like, this reminds me of a puzzle, and then he would just tell you a puzzle, and you could solve the puzzle, and that puzzle was not like that was not part of the challenge in universe for how to get through the place. It's just the fact that he and his apprentice like to quiz each other on puzzles. So sometimes they were just doing it for fun, which is fine. But it means that like trying to talk about the puzzle quality is really weird because it really is just a list of 120 puzzles that are not especially related to each other. I think the closest consistent thing between them is probably just the fact that they had a tendency not to actually be what they look like. So a lot of them were trick questions. And frankly, a lot of the, like, as long as when they didn't completely blow it on like explaining the trick question and like having the trick be, you know, like the trick had to be comprehensible and like fair, and some of that, and so every now and then there was just a massive miscommunication here and there. But usually those trick questions were a bit of fun because you get to have a little aha, here's what you're trying to get me on. But then they just have like filler, like sliding tile puzzles and Unblock Me, which I think the game calls a sliding tile puzzle, but a sliding tile puzzle is the one where you try to create a picture on a grid where there's one gap where that's missing in the picture, because that's what allows you to slide them around. Whereas a Unblock Me is what I call it Unblock Me. I don't know what the specific title is, if it's that or not, but Unblock Me was the phone game I had on my phone like 15 years ago. And that's the one where you have to get something from one side of the place to the other. Sometimes they're framed as being cars, and so they only move forward and backwards, not in every direction. So they vary a bit. But those ones have the specific destination of getting one piece from one spot to the other, as opposed to trying to make a picture. So they're more tolerable than sliding tile puzzles, because I really hate those. Because those feel too much like a Rubik's Cube, and that's just an infuriating thing to throw at somebody in a game. Mainly because it's this dumb kind of puzzle where like it's unfathomably, like a Rubik's Cube is unfathomably complicated if you don't know how to solve one. But once you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, you just know forever pretty much, and then someone just hands you a Rubik's Cube and you're like da 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 da, here we go. People like speedrun that shit, like. They will randomize the Rubik's Cube and then be like, look how fast I can solve it. And the whole point is that it's not doing the same motions. It's the fact that like you can randomize the Rubik's Cube however you want, and people could be like, aha, and I solved it in 10 seconds. Look at me go. Like I see that kind of stuff as bad puzzles because you don't solve it really via like intuition or having an epiphany or anything. And then once you do know how to solve them, then giving you more of them ceases to be so much of a problem to solve, because you're like, oh yeah, this is how you do it. Sliding tile puzzles are closer to that, and that's why they're just frustrating and not fun in a way that other moments where you go, aha, are more fun, and that's like what a lot of people play puzzle games for. So the fact that they lean on certain types of puzzles that are disappointing to see, and then are like, and then it's numbered, you're like, oh no, this is the third in a series of this puzzle, there's gonna be like 6 of this puzzle, and like, no. I like the puzzles that were not in a series of just reoccurring this one idea. They did that a little bit with the chess also. The chess was more tolerable just because you just had to, the chess was more akin to the one I just did with the squares. I don't totally love it because it's not exactly an epiphany moment, but at least it is like, okay, here's the rule. Can you find the configuration where this rule works? But that gets really frustrating sometimes around the time where it's like you're trying to draw the dice, you're trying to do the chess, you're trying to draw the squares, and you're just like, how do I know when I'm done? That's an iffy statement. It varied. There was ones where you were genuinely like, how do I know when I'm done? Like the one where they had made you draw a bunch of streets, and I'm like, I don't. It's like, press the button when you think you have the longest one, and then you press the button like, nah. You're like, all right, well, fuck. It's hard to even tell how long the line is, so. So I don't know. It was a real mixed bag of like fun epiphany puzzles and kind of time wasty reoccurring puzzles, and it was unfortunate the worst puzzles would be the most likely to reoccur because, frankly, they probably take less creativity, because like a lot of the epiphany moments are handcrafted unique moments, because they can't just reuse the same thing, or you would just do the same solution again, and the whole point was to have a moment of like, aha, I know how you're trying to trick me. Whereas those like mechanical puzzles, you can randomize those and iterate them on them. Like even stuff like how we played the Witness, and they made a randomizer for that game. Like if something's completely mechanical, you can keep randomizing it forever and create essentially infinite content. And that's one thing in a game like The Witness that has like really specific, fun sort of things to solve. And like okay, and it's kind of like a style of puzzle where you do kind of have your like there it is moment. But there's other types of puzzles where you can technically randomize them forever, but it's just busy work. It's like, would you like infinite busy work? We can randomize that for you, but not so much like a thing that like you want to play forever. So I don't know. I'm pretty mixed on the puzzles. I'm glad I played it. It was mostly fun, and I had a good time just kind of poking away at it. The comments seeming were surprisingly more down on the game than I was at first, just being like going after it for being like a cereal box game, like solving puzzles on a cereal box. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe, but they're just kind of like fun little brain worms for a bit. I just wish I could delete like 20 puzzles from the game that I think made the game worse. And I was gonna point out that it's a little weird trying to find the puzzles amongst the people. Just clicking everywhere, being like, where are you hiding the puzzles from me, game? But that was kind of the point, because the people were part of the story, and you're supposed to be like, oh no, we can't shut down all the people by the end. I guess I could just use an indicator. Like, I know that they want to have secret puzzles in the environment, but those might even be the majority of the ones I'm missing. But I could just use like a little quest indicator on some of the dudes, just being like, hey! Maybe they could wave at you. Just any indication that they have a puzzle for you, because they just... You quickly hit a point where you're just going back and forth across the same town, and everyone's standing in the same places, and you just kind of get tired of checking everybody at some point. And weirdly, I feel like I heard a hint that they did that in this game, like it's a feature from the future games, and they ported it back to this one, but I didn't see that. It didn't seem like there was any way of telling people had puzzles after you clicked on them. The little question mark happened, but once that happens, you're already locked into a conversation that will have the puzzle anyway, so that doesn't seem as helpful. But yeah, I'm glad that this got ported to PC, because, well, I'm sorry. I'm glad this got ported to mobile and that I can play that on PC, because it further delays the time where I will finally have to figure out how to record a DS game. I never have, and still haven't. I thought this was the moment that was going to happen, and then I found out about the mobile port, and I'm like, well, no one's going to get mad at me for playing the mobile port. It looks like it's completely true to the original game while also having redone art that's higher resolution, even though it is in this shape and all that. So, congratulations, less pixelized version of the game. Let's go. All right, I'll see you guys next time, and we'll find out what people chose next.